I was reflecting on this the other day, and it just kind of dawned on me, like, holy shit, we're already on week 5 of the college football season, and so far it's just been a lot of fun. All things considered, there's been quite a few upsets this year, some really great back and forth games, and I guess now that we're essentially a third into the season, I'm kind of asking myself, who has really been the most complete team in college football? And I would say a lot of teams can definitely be in that conversation. I mean, we could talk about Penn State, for example, who, hasn't really played anybody, but they haven't really necessarily done anything bad. You have Ohio State, who started off the year really strong with a solid Texas win, had a couple other wins versus Grambling State and whatnot. But I think for me, the most important team, or the team that's been the most complete in terms of this college football season so far, I got to give a shout out to the Miami Hurricanes, who I have to say I definitely don't think I really gave them enough credit of on them, earlier into the season. But man, I think if you're a Miami fan, you really got to love what you're seeing out of them, especially considering the defensive collapse that they had last season in that final game to an extent too. Because, I remember last season when they blew that 21-0 lead, and, they were in a great spot to be in that ACC championship game and to essentially just kind of get in gear. And, even, that was one of the things that Mario Cristobal even said going into the offseason is, hey, we're going to really make sure that we're going to be dominant, we're going to be physical, and we're really going to turn this around, which is really a testament to what they've done. And also a big shout out to Corey Hetherman too, who was the defensive coordinator at Minnesota last year. And, one of the concerns that I brought up was his background has primarily been coaching defensive linemen and linebackers, even though the secondary has primarily been one of their biggest issues. But, I think all things considered, I mean, you got to love what's going on with them in terms of all aspects of the football field, not just them defensively as well, even though that's essentially what really kind of needed to be highlighted. But I definitely want to dig a little bit into the Florida game last week. They won 26-7. DJ Lagway got sacked 4 times. Florida went over 13 on third down. And most importantly, they only gave up 141 yards of offense. And, for me, it was just absolutely dominant. I mean, 61 passing yards total, only 80 rushing yards. And I think most importantly, when Florida was going to this game, one of the things that I was looking for was to seeing, obviously DJ Lagway has definitely been a little bit injured, and I think that's still obvious considering that he's going into a walking boot now. So for them to not really get Jalen Bowe going very well, it's truly a testament to how far Miami's defense has really gotten, this quickly. So it's definitely a testament to what they've done. And now fast forward, they get this 19-point win, and now they're number 2 in the AP poll. So it's definitely really exciting for them, and especially now that they have Florida State on the horizon in 2 weeks too, that's definitely something to be even more excited about. Because, going into the season for me, one of the things I was going to be able to get these quarterbacks uncomfortable is the secondary going to come together, and most importantly, how's Carson Beck going to look as well? Carson Beck, I mean, even though his stats don't necessarily, stand out in that way, but he's done everything that they've had to do, right? Because even this week, I mean, he threw for 160 yards, 17 for 30. But sometimes that's really all you need in college football. I know in this day and age of college football, people get overwhelmed with the stats and the touchdowns and all this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, I think what I really enjoy most about this Miami team right now is just that they're just straight up just playing complementary football. And it really goes to show because, for example, this game versus Florida this week, they had the ball for 36 minutes and 30 seconds compared to Florida's 23 opportunities when they get them. They're 8 for 16 on third down. And not to mention, too, that they did a phenomenal job versus a really strong Notre Dame game in week 1. I remember just watching that and thinking to myself, hey, this is really a big moment for CJ Carr, freshman quarterback, grandson of Lloyd Carr, and especially coming off losing the national title game, there was definitely a lot of attention for Notre Dame to really kind of come out strong. So for Miami to now have an idol this week, and then being able to go to Florida State, a primetime 7:30 ABC game at Florida State. I mean, I think if you're Florida, you really can't ask for a much better start to the season, especially considering the collapse that you've had with Clemson, which I'll be the first one to say on this show. Hey, I really thought Clemson was going to show out a lot better, and trust me, I'm not the only one to think that. But I kind of doubled down on it. I mean, I've been pretty consistent on this program to kind of say, you know what, I didn't necessarily think it was going to be a big deal that Dabo wasn't really kind of facilitating being able to use the transfer portal, and they had so many returning guys. But maybe that's one of the takeaways to the college football season is that, your quote unquote returning production isn't necessarily as important as you think. Because, for example, when you look at this Miami Hurricanes team and you look at what the wins that they've had, I mean, yes, they did beat South Florida September 13th too. And, Carson Beck only had 340 passing yards that game. And the other couple of weeks, he's been, only about 200 yards or so. So, I mean, it goes to show that, when you just have that talent and you really kind of put it together, it's really a strong testament to what they're doing. And, you just sat there a lot. I just remember so many games I would watch last season, and I'd say to myself, hey, if they can just put just a solid defense together, just how dangerous that they'd be, especially, sure, there's always some question marks at Carson Beck to a degree, because you kind of sat there and said, hey, this guy has every God-given talent in the world, but to what extent is he going to come back in terms of his elbow? Because I think that was also a legitimate question mark in terms of how he would look in that front. But I think if you're a Miami fan, there's a lot to be excited about. And quite frankly, I think they're perhaps the most complete team in college football. I think they've proven the most at this moment. Granted, are there better teams such as Ohio State and Texas and Penn State, maybe in terms of an overall talent? Yeah, sure. I think we can make that argument. But I think right now for the results that you're seeing on the field and just the consistency that they play with and just the overall complimentary football, I think if you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, this is a team that's certainly trending in the right direction. Mario Cristobal has made all the right moves, and everything just really seems to be coming together. And especially going to the Florida State game, that's going to be really critical in terms of the rest of the season. You have to be excited about where you're going.